3 haircuts that will make you look 10 years younger, and 3 you should avoid for women over 60. If you're over 60 and you haven't changed your haircut in the last few years, there is a good chance your hair is quietly adding age to your face every single. Not because you're doing something wrong on purpose, but because most of us keep the haircut that worked in our 40s and nobody ever tells us it stopped working 10 or 15 years ago. Today, I'm going to show you 3 haircuts that instantly take years off your face after 60, and 3 haircuts that no matter how well they're cut or how much you spend on them will always add age. And I'll be honest with you, one of the avoid cuts on this list is one of the most requested haircuts in salons right now, so stay with me because you might be walking around with it today. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which shape flatters your face, your hair texture, and yes, even a little bit of thinning, because that's real, and we're not going to pretend it isn't. We'll like you to hit the subscribe button, so let's get straight into it. Let's start with the haircuts you want to avoid, because once you see why they age you, the flattering ones are going to make a lot more sense. Mistake number 1 is the long, straight, one-length haircut past the shoulders. I know it feels safe. It feels like youthful long hair, and for years we're told long hair equals youthful. But past 60, skin on the face and neck naturally loses some elasticity, and long, heavy, straight hair pulls everything downward with it. It drags the eye down, it flattens out any lift you have around your cheekbones, and it tends to make thinning at the crown or temples more obvious, not less, because there's no shape breaking up the silhouette. If you've ever felt like long hair is swallowing your face, this is why. It's not your face, it's the weight and the straight line doing it. Mistake number 2 is the extremely short, blunt, one-length pixie with no texture. The kind that's cut almost like a helmet. Now, short hair itself is not the problem. In fact, you'll see in a minute that short can be one of the most flattering choices after 60. The problem is a pixie with 0 movement, 0 layering, and hard, blunt edges everywhere. That hard, blunt line does something unflattering. It creates a stiff, sharp frame around a face that is softened naturally with age. And the contrast between very structured hair and softer skin actually emphasizes lines rather than hiding them. It can also expose more of the scalp at the crown in a way that reads as harsh under overhead lighting, which, let's be honest, most of us are sitting under. And mistake number 3, the one I promised you, is the heavy, blunt fringe, a full, thick bang cut straight across just above the eyebrows. This one is everywhere right now, and I understand the appeal. It can look striking on younger, tighter skin, but on a mature face, a heavy, blunt fringe does 2 damaging things at once. First, it shortens the face visually, which can make features look more compressed and can actually emphasize any fullness under the chin. Second, it creates a hard horizontal line right above the eyes, and hard horizontal lines are one of the most aging things you can put near your face because they draw attention straight to fine lines on the forehead and around the eyes instead of softening them. So long and straight, blunt and helmet-like, and heavy, blunt fringe. If you're currently wearing one of these, don't panic. I'm not saying you look bad. I'm saying there is very likely a version of your current style that will look dramatically better with a few key changes. Now, let's talk about what actually works. The first flattering cut is the soft layered lob. That's a long bob that hits somewhere between the chin and the collarbone with soft face framing layers around the front. Here's why this works so well after 60. That length is short enough to lift the face instead of dragging it down, but long enough that it still feels elegant and not severe. The layers around the front do something really clever. They create movement right at the jawline and cheekbone area, and movement catches the light in a way that a flat, straight line never can. That light movement softens fine lines, softens any fullness along the jaw, and draws the eye up toward your eyes and cheekbones instead of down toward the neck. If your hair has gotten a little finer with age, this cut is also incredibly forgiving because the layers create the illusion of thickness without needing extensions or heavy styling. Ask your stylist specifically for long layers starting at the cheekbone. That phrase matters because layers that start too low won't give you this lift. The second flattering cut is the textured pixie, but a very specific version of it, one with soft, piecey layers on top and slightly longer length around the crown for volume, not a buzzed, uniform pixie. This is different from the mistake pixie I mentioned earlier because the texture is doing all the work. Soft, broken layers on top create height and volume exactly where a mature face benefits most, right at the crown, which visually lifts everything below it, your eyes, your cheeks, your whole expression. This cut also tends to draw incredible attention to your eyes and your bone structure, which is exactly where you want the attention to go. Women who are dealing with thinning at the crown are often afraid of short hair, but counterintuitively, a well-layered pixie with volume on top can disguise thinning far better than longer styles, because the layers themselves create the illusion of density, whereas long, flat hair on a thin crown just lies there and shows exactly how much is or isn't there. The third flattering cut is the shoulder-length shag with curtain bangs. This one consistently tests as one of the most universally flattering cuts for women over 60, and here's the actual reason why. The shag technique uses layers all over the head, not just around the face, which creates texture and lightness throughout, so hair never sits heavy or flat. Combine that with curtain bangs, which are soft, longer bangs parted in the middle and swept to either side rather than cut straight across, and you get the opposite effect of that aging, blunt fringe I mentioned earlier. Curtain bangs frame the face with soft, angled lines instead of one hard horizontal line, and angled lines are naturally more youthful to the eye than straight ones. They also do something wonderful for the eye area specifically. They draw a soft diagonal frame around your eyes without covering your forehead completely, which keeps the whole look open and bright instead of hidden. Now, a few things that matter no matter which of these three you choose. Color placement can either enhance or completely cancel out the lifting effect of a great cut. If you add soft face framing highlights around the pieces that fall near your cheekbones and jaw, you double the lifting effect of the layers because now you have both movement and light hitting exactly the right spot. On the other hand, going too dark and solid all over can flatten the whole effect and make the cut look heavier than it is, even if the shape itself is right. Texture matters just as much as the cut. If your natural texture is fine or straight, ask your stylist about a light, low-heat texturizing product. Not to make it curly, just to give the ends a slightly imperfect, piecey finish, because perfectly smooth, flat hair reduces the very movement that makes these cuts work. If your texture is wavy or curly, lean into it. Don't fight it flat because your natural wave is already doing half the youthful lifted work for you. And here's something almost nobody mentions. The parting of your hair matters more after 60 than it ever did before. A deep side part naturally creates asymmetry, which is more flattering and more youthful looking than a perfectly centered part, because a centered part on a face with any asymmetry, and every face has some, tends to emphasize unevenness rather than balance it. A slightly off-center deep side part immediately softens the whole face and works beautifully with every single one of the 3 cuts I just described.